Grow what you eat. I'm Naima Latif with today's 10-minute tip on how to grow your own food. We're still exploring some of the plants that are already growing for absolutely free in our own yard. Plants that may be healthy, medicinal, nutritional, even producing benefits for the soil. So you might notice these little round plants, and if you're not familiar with them, you'll see them all over the lawn. They grow freely. We're going to use our Picture This app to determine what these are that we're seeing. So you're going to place the plant in focus and hit the button. It is white clover. And it says, this plant needs attention. Well, could be that the soil is not as healthy as it needs to be, but we've had a few healthy rains. And so a lot of white clover is growing. So now let's find out, what are the uses of white clover? Is it edible? Is it medicinal? Is it harmful? Well, let's do a little research and find out. It's really easy to find out whether or not the things growing in your yard are something helpful that you should keep, maybe cultivate, or eliminate. Just go online. So, what are the uses of white clover? Well, now let's take a look. Because white clover, you see it growing everywhere. Those little bitty leaves, and also in time it's going to flower, and we want to know what the flowers look like. But first, let's take a look at the uses for white clover. Well, now it's interesting that white clover has quite a few uses. And it's important for us not to just indiscriminately spray them full of pesticides. Based on what we see here, white clover, it's called Trifolium repens, is the scientific name, is a versatile, nutrient-rich plant used primarily as a sustainable, drought-tolerant, and low-mow lawn alternative. It fixes nitrogen to improve soil health, acts as a nutritious edible forage for livestock, is a vital nectar source for bees, and is used in teas, salads, and traditional medical salves. These are very essential to our ecosystem, so any plant that attracts bees is good to have around. Key uses of white clover: it's a lawn and garden substitute. White clover is commonly used as an eco-friendly lawn alternative because it is drought tolerant. That means it can keep growing when there's no rain. Resistant to dog urine. Well, dogs like to mark their territory, and so these are plants that won't die. And rarely requires mowing. It acts as a living, protective ground cover that suppresses weeds and fixes nitrogen in the soil, removing the need for synthetic fertilizers. That's one of the things that get depleted when we keep growing grass over and over again. The nitrogen gets depleted. So you've got to have a plant that replenishes the nitrogen in order to grow food crops. So this is of great value. Now let's look at the culinary uses. Both leaves and flowers are edible and highly nutritious, containing vitamins A, C, E, and K, as well as minerals like calcium and potassium. You can use it in soups or salads. The raw young leaves can be added to salads, while older leaves are better cooked. For tea, flowers can be dried or used fresh to make a sweet tea. Culinary processing. Flowers can be dried and ground into a nutritious flour, added to jellies, or battered and fried. Now, that is very interesting that this leaf, this flower, this plant has so many resources that are culinary, meaning you can eat it, you can consume it. So now, what about its medicinal uses? Well, now let's take a look at that because our foreparents knew how to use different plants for healing. So the clover plant also has some medicinal applications. Traditionally, white clover has been used in herbalism for its potential health benefits, although these are not always clinically proven. Respiratory relief, often used in teas to treat coughs and colds. Detoxification, it has a history of use as a diuretic and for supporting lymphatic system detoxification. Skin health, topical applications of white clover infusions or salves are used for wounds, burns, and sores. And then, of course, for agricultural and ecological roles, forage or fodder, it is a valuable protein source for grazing livestock such as sheep and cattle, though it's not ideal for winter hay. Well, if you well, of course, nobody in the city is raising cattle, but it lets you know that these are the kinds of plants that are very helpful for those who are raising livestock. So this is why you don't just spray pesticides on things when there's a large field of growing plants. Now, this is an important thing for the city dwellers. It's a pollinator habitat because the flowers attract bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects. Insects are a vital part of our ecosystem, and bees are critical. So you want to keep your white clover around. And it's as a soil amendment used as a green manure or cover crop to prevent erosion and increase soil fertility. So these are important points for us to look at when we're deciding what should remain across our yard. And having a sheet of white clover is actually a very positive thing, especially because the flowers attract bees. So we saw the leaves, and in a little while, they're going to appear flowers. And so the flowers will emerge as the season progresses towards later in the spring and then the summer, and we'll see what the flowers of white clover looks like. So let's take a look at the white clover flower. This is what you're going to see, the white clover, and you're going to get a chance to see a blanket of really pretty white flowers if you've got a sheet of white clover growing where your lawn was. So rather than be in despair and say, oh no, I gotta wait, be grateful that the white clover is there to help nourish the soil with nitrogen and help to sustain the ecosystem by providing what bees need. And so it really is a benefit for us to know what plants are, to know what their uses are, and to appreciate the fact that they're serving our needs. Mother Earth is an intelligent mind that creates healing for the earth and for its life forms. So all of us need to know how we interact with that which is growing in our midst so that we can choose to be a help and not a hindrance to the healing of the earth and the creation of places where life can flourish. So next time, we're going to take a look at more wild growing plants, freely growing plants, and take a look at some of the recipes that are shared so that we can be self-sufficient as we develop an appetite for that which is healthy and growing for absolutely free. I'm Naima Latif, reminding you to grow what you eat. We'll see you next time.